Minister, this week is National Epilepsy Week, and I'm raising a very important issue which I know matters to people with epilepsy across Ireland, and that is improved access to the free travel scheme for people with epilepsy. As you know, epilepsy is a complex individual condition, and people living with epilepsy face a wide range of challenges in living with the condition. As it stands, we're currently waiting a final report from the Department regarding proposals put forward by Epilepsy Ireland around this issue. Why has this report not been finalised, and can the Minister give a commitment as to when the report will be ready?
Thank you, Deputy, for raising this. The free travel scheme provides free travel on the main public and private transport services for those eligible under the scheme. There are over 1 million customers or users with direct eligibility. The estimated expenditure on free travel in 2023 is €95 million. It is important to note that, in general, access to a free travel pass for those aged under 66 is a secondary benefit linked to a person being in receipt of a certain primary social protection payment from my department, such as disability allowance, invalidity pension, carers allowance and blind pension. As many illnesses or physical conditions have an impact ranging from mild to severe, entitlement to these social welfare schemes is not provided on the basis of a diagnosis, but on the basis of the impact of that diagnosis on the individual concerned, and in the case of disability and carers allowance, on an assessment of their means. In this way, resources can be targeted to people most in need. I'm aware of an ongoing campaign by Epilepsy Ireland. I fully recognise the issues and the difficulties that can arise due to a person being diagnosed with epilepsy and who is unable to drive as a result of their condition. I've met with representatives of Epilepsy Ireland to discuss its proposal in detail, and following the meeting I asked my department officials to examine the issues raised in relation to access to the free travel scheme. I'm awaiting a report from my officials on the issues raised by Epilepsy Ireland, and I expect to receive the report shortly and will carefully consider its contents and any recommendations that it may contain. So I hope this clarifies the matter for the Deputy.
To an extent, we could do with a bit more information, I'm sure, Minister. Look, as you know, Minister, there's 40,000 people living with epilepsy in Ireland. 70% of people diagnosed with epilepsy can become seizure-free with the right treatment regime, but for 30%, their condition will be more challenging due to the nature and impact of uncontrolled seizures. Almost all diagnoses of epilepsy in adults come with restrictions on driving. This typically occurs at a time to plan and prepare and can lead to massive challenges and upheaval in a person's family, social and working life while they're learning to cope with a neurological diagnosis. If a person with epilepsy holds a licence, experiences a breakthrough seizure, they will once again lose that licence for a further 12 months until they become 1 year seizure-free. Many of the 30% with long-term uncontrolled epilepsy will never be able to hold a driver's licence. So here's the fundamental issue, Minister. The state tells these people that they cannot drive. I think it is very reasonable, and I think you understand that they get assistance with their transport, and I think the free travel scheme is the way to do it.
Thank you. And, Deputy, I do appreciate the points that you're making. I know people that have epilepsy myself, and I know it's not easy for them. If someone loses their licence due to a seizure, that's an awful place to be, and I do understand it. As I said, I met with Epilepsy Ireland myself last year because I wanted to discuss this with them to see what I could do. Now, the problem I have, and the officials in the department are at pains to point out to me, that the free travel pass is linked to the social welfare payment you're in receipt of. So it's linked to your social welfare payment, whether that's a pension or a disability payment or for whatever, and then it's based on that. It's not actually based on your medical condition or illness. It's linked to your payment. So if we break that link, it really would be a fundamental change on how the scheme is run, and I imagine it would give rise to calls from other groups. So for example, if someone has with epilepsy gets it, what about someone who can't drive because they've got MS or because they maybe have Parkinson's? So I'm not saying that we shouldn't do it, but it is a big change. It has wider implications, and for that reason, it does need to be considered carefully.
Thank you, Minister, and I take your point. But I suppose that the majority of the examples you might give of other people that could give rise to will already have a qualifying payment. Very many people will be on disability or invalidity and entitled to, because of their condition, and be entitled to free travel in any event. I'm not sure that we're talking about a huge amount of additional people receiving free travel. I appreciate that it would be a significant departure, but I think given that, you know, in the past there has been a recognition prior to maybe some of the qualifying payments existing that free travel was provided to people with certain conditions many decades ago, and that would have been allowed for. So I don't think that this is unreasonable. You said to us, Minister, that you was hoping that you would have the report shortly. Now, shortly can mean a lot of things in these houses, so can you give us a better sense of what precisely shortly means?
Look, as soon as I get the report, I'll see what it says. I will consider it carefully. And I think the first person I need to talk to is the Minister for Transport, and because the government has made some very positive changes recently in reducing the cost of public transport, particularly for young people. And perhaps what we need to consider is if someone is medically certified that they cannot drive, or if they lose their licence due to a medical condition, then in those circumstances they have an automatic entitlement to a free travel pass, regardless of their income or whether or not they're in receipt of a welfare payment. And I think myself that could be the fairest way to deal with this, but that would probably need to be led, or at least have substantial input from Minister Ryan and the Department of Transport. And I know, Deputy, and so do you, we have some pensioners, and I'm thinking of farmers, that have a free travel pass and they never use it. And then we have other people who have a genuine need, and it would make a huge difference to their lives to living independently, and they can't get it. So look, I'd like to do something in this space, I genuinely would, but like everything I do, I have to look at the wider consequences. But I am committed, to getting the report from my officials, hopefully in the next few weeks, and we'll take it from there.
Okay.
Thanks.